What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a new series. This is not a drill. This is not a joke. This shit's a banger. I hope you guys enjoy. Drop a like if you do. Hey, let me know in the comment section if you guys are hype, if you guys are ready for the next series. My gamers, we haven't had something like this since Code Chronicles. And look at us. Here we are, back in action. So, what is this series? This is detailing the DUI that I got, my upcoming court cases, and my time getting kicked out of my mom's house, right? Shit hit the fan. At least like 8 different drugs were consumed. Everything went haywire. A bunch of lean was drank. We're finishing up the pint of lean story as a part of this series, right? This is going to be madness. It's a hoot. It's a holler. It is a textbook banger, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoy. Drop a like if you do. And in this first episode, we're going to be detailing the events that caused me to get kicked out of my mom's house, right? And this series is just detailing the entire process of me getting kicked out and moving out, right? Because a lot of this is stuff I never really talked about, either because it was court related or I just kind of didn't really feel ready to talk about it yet, right? But now we're spilling the beans. Hey. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Drop a like if you do. Let's dive right into it. So, as I mentioned earlier, I had gotten a DUI, right? And that's what got me kicked out. And I'd like to take this moment to mention here, do not drink and drive, my gamers. I learned my lesson the hard way, which is evident by this video, but nevertheless, do not drink and drive. I know as druggies, a lot of the times we think we are above the standard rules of intoxication because we can handle it. No, motherfucker, don't drink and drive, alright? That's my lesson to you gamers. As you watch this video, don't think it's cool because it's not, alright? It could have gone a lot worse than it did. It could have gone way worse, but I was fortunate. But either way, I was fortunate and very stupid, but mainly fortunate. But either way, so at this particular point, some of you OGs might remember this. I had just gotten done live streaming, right? And I had drank like a full bottle of Ciroc, right? And I had just gotten off stream. And I decided I was going to go get some food. I was already a little drunk, but I was like, well, dude, there's a Wendy's like a block and a half over. I'll just go get some food and come back. Because I thought the liquor had hit me, right? Like, I thought how I was feeling at that point was just all the liquor effect. And at that time, I was stupid enough to think that I was good to drive. And even at that point, I still couldn't drive. But I thought I was good enough, right? So I went and I got in my car. Hey, listen, you should never drive with alcohol in your system. All right, gamers? Listen, don't fucking do this shit, dude. Don't. This shit fucked me over so bad. Do you guys have any idea? Listen, a lot of people will tell you not to drunk drive just because it's the morally correct thing to say. But I'll actually give you the facts of it. Do you guys have any idea how much money this one mistake has cost me, bro? I got kicked out of my mom's house. I'm still paying for lawyers for this. Thousands of dollars. This one mistake has cost me easily over 10 grand total expense, right? And we're just getting started, right? The car, everything. We'll get into that. So, either way, I had decided that maybe I would be capable of going to Wendy's. So, I hop in my car, and back then I had my Caddy, right? Some of you guys might remember my brief stint with the Caddy. I had a 1994 Caddy DeVille Concours. Complete shit bucket, bro. So many problems. The engine is like notoriously unreliable, and mine was no exception. But my fucking God, when it worked right, was it a fun-ass fast car, right? Like, it was huge and heavy, and it was fast for no reason, right? So I loved it. So I get in this car, right, and I cruise over to Wendy's. And at this point, I'm still pretty drunk, but I'm not wasted. I place my order, and after this, details get a little blurry because the actual full impact of the bottle hit me after I left the Wendy's, right? I thought that I was like my peak drunkenness when I went to this Wendy's. So I go to the Wendy's, I place my order, right? And I get my food. And after this, I don't remember a ton, right? I very, very rarely get blackout drunk. This is something that's only happened like a few, like literally I could count the amount of times that's happened on like one hand easily. I would struggle to fill up one hand thinking of occurrences of this, right? I never really black out from drinking. But on this particular night, I blacked the fuck out. Now, this little section here is by my basic recount of events. This is what I remember. Luckily, you just listen. So, From what I remember, I don't remember much until I got back into my neighborhood. And mind you, from Wendy's back to my neighborhood, it's only like a block. It's literally a block, right? It's like a 3-4 minute cruise. But I remember being back in my neighborhood and cruising down my street. And then I don't remember anything. And the next thing, I remember waking up and my car is on somebody's lawn. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, I like that's all I remember from this night, right? The car being on the lawn. And then after I remember kind of coming to with me in my car on somebody's lawn, then I remember some of the cops coming, right? Now, here's what actually happened. There's my recollection, but here's what actually happened. So because I was in my neighborhood, right, my mom had a Ring camera set up on our garage. So I actually got to see, my mom like got some of this on the Ring camera, right? I made it back home somehow, completely blackout wasted after this bottle hit me. I made it back home somehow. I got out of my car and I tried to enter the garage code and I couldn't get it. So I got back in and drunk me being an idiot left instead of just turning the car off and going to bed. Drunk me being a dumbass left. Where I was going to go, I have no idea, and I didn't get very far. When I got back in my car after that and left, and the reason I couldn't get in is because I was so drunk I couldn't remember my fucking code, bro. Like, obviously, I didn't know my code, so I left again, right? And then I ended up on the neighbor's lawn. Now, after I left, there's no footage, so I really don't know what happened. But that little detail I found funny, right? But after I left, I remember coming to and I'm on my neighbor's lawn, and I remember... At first, I thought it was a cop, but it wasn't a cop. It was just the neighbor. The neighbor came out and was like yelling at me. He was like, "Turn your car off, dude!" And like, I remember this part. I was just getting yelled at, and I was sitting there so confused, bro. This is like one of the most vivid parts of it that I remember. Just sitting there in that like almost like daze I was in when I came to on this guy's lawn, and I'm just like, "What the fuck?" And I remember I tried like putting my car in reverse and getting off this guy's lawn and my car wouldn't go anywhere. I didn't realize that I'd actually damaged my car a little bit, right? I didn't realize that when I came up on the lawn, A, the curb fucked me up, and B, I fucked up this guy's tree on his lawn, right? I didn't realize that. Me and trees, we don't get along. But either way, hey, I get along with most kind of trees, but I'm talking the big ones with stumps, all right? We don't like stems. But either way, so this guy is yelling at me. I'm just sitting there, and finally the cops pull up. And this part gets blurry once again. After the cops pull up, like I remember I came to and kind of stayed in a coherent state until the cops came. I remember seeing the cops pull up, and then I barely remember shit, right? A couple interesting things, right, are that I don't really remember being offered medical, which I think is like standard procedure when, you know, my car was up against a tree. Like I hit a tree, right? I didn't realize I hit a tree until, you know, the next day, and I came back and the tree was gone, right? But either way, I hit a tree, right? So they lock me up, right? They take my ass out of my car, my drunken ass, and they take me down to jail, right? And I had never gotten a DUI before. I didn't know what the process was, but I was just so fucking wasted. I remember I got in this car, and I get to jail and I get out, and I remember asking the guy if he had my fucking slides, right? I had some like flip-flops on, right? And I was like, "Oh, do you have my slides?" And he was like, "No, dude, you came in barefoot." And I was like, "Well, do you have my glasses?" He's like, "No, dude, you just came in barefoot." I have no idea where this shit went. Chat, I don't know how in the fuck I somehow managed to lose my shoes and my glasses, but it happened. I get to jail and I have no shoes and no glasses, so they give me these really shitty, like, slide-on slippers that are just made of the scratchiest, fucking worst material ever, right? They're not, I mean, they're not the worst, but they were a little scratchy on me, dude. I didn't like the material of these things, but I'm in fucking jail, right? I can't complain. So they give me these, and I'm so fucking wasted. After this, I'm still blackout drunk, right? So I go to my cell, and I sober the fuck up. And then I start coming to later in the night. I remember later in the night, around like 3 a.m., I started actually having coherent conversations with the jailer, right? And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, "Oh, like, how long have I been here and shit?" And I'm still fucking sent. I remember he breathalyzed me at one point at like 3 a.m. to see if I was good enough to leave, and no. It was 6 a.m. the next morning, and I was like still technically blowing over legal. Like, I was fucking wasted all night long. And I remember they held me overnight, which is the standard protocol for DUIs as far as I know. And then the time rolls around where I have to start to figure out how to get a ride out. You know, I have to go home. I have no shoes. I have no glasses, right? I didn't have, like, my phone was dead, right? So I was boned. I was sitting there and I was like, dude, like, I can't even see right now. Without my glasses, chat, I'm blind as fuck. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, I can't even see right now. Like how the fuck am I going to get home? So I'm trying to call any phone numbers I can possibly remember. And luckily, I have pretty good memory. So I remember a few phone numbers. I'm just trying people, dude. I called Cody. I called Kyle. I called everybody. But the problem was, it was like 6 a.m., dude. So nobody was awake. So finally, I realized pretty quickly that if I leave this jail without a phone and glasses, there's just no way I'm making it home. Like, I don't know how to get home from here, right? I would need maps. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh, damn. And I can't even see to read street signs from afar. Like, I'd be fucked, right? So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, damn. So finally, I suck it up and I call my mom. And my mom, at the time, right, she wasn't even home for the weekend. That's why when I came home and tried to, enter the garage and left again, she didn't notice or say anything, right? She wasn't home the whole weekend, right? So I call my mom, and I'm like, hey, Mom, I'm in jail. Can you come get me? And she just huffs, and she's like, what the fuck did you do this time? Probably expecting, like, some minor, like, possession charge or something. And I tell her I got a DUI. And she's pissed, bro. She's fucking livid. I remember she literally just said okay and hung up the phone. And I sat in that jail not knowing if she was coming or not. And lo and behold, she showed up pissed as fuck. So she picks me up and drives me home. And while she's driving me home, she basically just says, grab a bag and pack your shit when you get back, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, is she being serious, or is this, like, a scare tactic? Because at this point, like, I wasn't really ready to move out. I was looking at places, right? But, like, I wasn't really ready to get kicked out that day at all, right? And this was fresh off of Coke Chronicles as well. So, like, my pockets were thin, dude. My pockets were thin, chat. So I'm talking, like, damn, dude, we really were not ready for this. So either way, she takes me home and gives me a garbage bag and tells me, load up your shit. So I'm putting all my clothes in there, and she's like, all right, you got a week from today to find somewhere to stay. She's like, I don't care if it's a hotel or wherever, you at a friend's while you look for a place, but you got to get out of my house, right? And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. I'm kind of starting to panic a little bit because I'm realizing, like, I just spent all my money on cocaine this summer. Most of my savings are depleted. So the first thing I did was like call I had a financial advisor guy. I had a mutual fund investment account open at a firm, right? And I had about like $3,500 in that account, right? Not like a insane rich man amount, but a good amount, right? An amount that I really needed at that time. So I had to make a very painful phone call, right? I was just putting little amounts of money in that account. It was like a little nest egg, just a little pile of money I had saved up, right? Just in case, Just in case, right? Which, looking back on it, maybe it's good that I sold because all my gains probably would have been fucking mopped in the past 3 months. But either way. So, back on topic here. So, I call up my guy and I'm like, hey, dude, I need to pull this money out. Like, I need to yank all of this money out. And he's like, are you sure? Like, there's going to be, like, fees and shit. And I'm like, yeah, like, I need all this money pulled out right now. Like, it's an emergency, right? How fast can I get it? And he's like, oh, dude, if we pull it out today, we'll have it in 2 business days, right? Like, it'll be in your account. So I'm like, bet, yank it right fucking now. So I've got this transfer coming, and now I kind of calmed down a little bit. Because, like, outside of that amount, right, I only had maybe like a couple $100 to my name at this point, right? Outside of that little nest, I had maybe like a couple $100, right? So now I'm a little more calm. I'm like, okay, now I can figure things out. So I remember I go over to Cody's house the next day, and I just tell him all what happened, and he picks me up, right? He comes and picks me up, and I go over to his house, and I just explain everything that went down to him, right? And perfect coincidence that this happened maybe 2 weeks after Cody's older brother had actually mentioned to me, Cody is Chris in my stories, by the way. I just use his real name now because a lot of you guys have met him on stream at this point. But his older brother and his wife, right? They were both renting the house that I used to live in, right? The first house I moved into when I moved out, my old crib that I used to stream in with the spray paint on the walls, real trap housey. His older brother and his wife were renting it, but they moved back up and they couldn't afford, like they wanted to buy the house when the lease was up, but they couldn't afford to maintain the rest of the lease, right? So they wanted to sublease it to me so they could still have the lease under their name and then change the lease to a rent to own at the end of it, right? While still like maintaining that lease, right? So it was like one of those kind of perfect coincidence things where like they were about to lose the house, right? Because they weren't able to like pay the lease, and then I came in and subleased from them and saved their ass. So because of this sublease situation, illegal as fuck, right? No paperwork done. Literally, they were just like, all right, well, we'll ride down with you, pack your shit. You got yourself a house, right? So I was like, bet. And they were talking it up. They were really trying to gas this place up. For those of you guys who remember my old place, you know, it was really not nice. We had no stove. There was no running heat. We had to get an exterminator in before we moved in for the spider infestation in the basement. Listen, not and the whole house was on a slant, okay? Just not a nice place, right? But it was a home, and it was a starter house, right? So after I kind of strike that deal with Cody's brother, Cody gets interested, and he's like, well, shit, dude, I'm trying to move out too. And I'm like, you want to come with? And he's like, hell fucking yes. And I've got this plan where Cody's coming with. And now we're like, well, we got to find an extra roommate, right? Because there's 2 bedrooms and a loft, so we could each have our own space. So now we got to find a third roommate, right? And it would be nice to have a second car for the house, right? Because Cody didn't have his own car. So it would be nice to find someone with an extra car, right? So we're hitting people up and roommate shopping, right? And those of you guys who have been around a little while, you remember my old roommate, Josh. That's who we, unfortunately, ended up with. Very good reason that didn't last long. We'll get to that in the future episodes. But that's who we ended up with. Hey, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Let me know in the comments if you guys are ready for part 2, where we document the mass drug purchase I made with my $3,500 withdrawal from my mutual fund account. Lads, we stocked up. Driving down there, I knew we weren't going to have a plug, so I bought zips of bud, a bunch of blow, a bunch of lean, a bunch of alcohol. We went down with everything. It was a party. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you do. Let me know in the comments if you guys are as excited for a new series as I am. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.